Now, on the other hand, there's something else that I want to very quickly speak about. And most of you may know about it already. But I generally don't discuss these things because I don't think they really are entitled and they're worthy of any kind of response. But the problem is that this one in 2 or 3 days has become a massive issue with many responses and counter responses on both sides, and attacks and arguments and so on and so forth. But again, just by way of nasiha, really just by way of nasiha, because anybody that you see out there who's trying to do something for the deen, they seem to have some form of sincerity. They seem to have some form of sincerity. So they want to do something because they see a plight, they see a problem, they see backwardness, they see some shortcoming, they see some defect. They see an issue, so they want to rectify that. Now this is where it gets difficult. This is in my entire life, and I've been studying these things. This is the big problem that I've always noticed. Qadi Iyad, under the verse of the Quran, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, لِيَبْلُوَكُمْ أَيُّكُمْ أَحْسَنُ عَمَلًا. So that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will test you and try you to see which one of you was the best in action, was the most excellent in action, was the most beautiful in action. Under that verse, Qadi Iyad al-Maliki, he says that مَا أَصْوَبُهَا وَمَا أَخْلَصُهَا. What we're talking about, what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala means here by the best in action, is who did the most correct action according to the Sharia. So it's something that's correct according to the Sharia. It's sound, it's not controversial, it's not in the grey area, and it's not haram. And on the other hand, he had sincerity, akhlas, khalis, single-mindedly for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So many of these things that happen out there, that are sometimes very misguided in terms of their validity in the Sharia and in terms of the deen, but they have a lot of sincerity behind it. You can't put something like that up and then remain anonymous if you don't have some form of sincerity. I'm doing husnul dhan, because we should have husnul dhan and good opinion about people. So this is purely by way of advice. This is not an attack for no reason. This is not an attack just to give an attack. It's really to make people think. This is what I think. So what you have here is that any act that you do, especially if it's in support for the deen, it needs to be for the sake of Allah, ikhlas. And number two, it needs to be correct and valid according to the ulama and the scholars. Number one. Number two, jumping up and down, prancing around to music, how much happiness does that really give somebody? How long does that happiness last for? It ends by the end of it. When you're putting it up for somebody else, then how much happiness does it really give you? One must think about that. Just making a few moves here and there, how much happiness does that really give? Is the serious-minded really going to understand this to be happiness, or are they going to see through this? Is this just like some kind of patchwork that we're trying to do? Were there no other ideas that we could come up with? But except to actually pray into the stereotypes. This is what I see. And I could be totally wrong in this, but this is what I see, is that all we're doing here is we're playing into the stereotype. The stereotype is that Muslims aren't happy because they don't jump and have a good time. SubhanAllah, I've dealt with that issue. I was once in Los Angeles, and there was a shop that I went to that was supposed to have some Islamic books. But aside from one shelf of Islamic books, he was actually selling all these Indian movie videos, you know, that really ugly stuff. Right, all that shirky stuff and all the dancing and all the garish gold and red and orange and so on and so forth. But aside from that, I can understand all of that. Indian, Pakistanis and Bangladeshis, they like, in fact, even many Arabs, they like their Indian movies. I can understand that. I don't consider it right, but I can understand it. Right. However, on the desk, what he was selling on the counter were these Diwali cards with with idols of these various Hindu gods, deities, etc. And I said, why are you selling this? Because the same owner owns the only halal meat store in the area. And people come to this store. So I'm like, why are you selling this stuff? So he got really defensive. He got very aggressive. He says, to live in this world, you're going to have to do this. To live in this country, you're going to have to do this. The guy is not even born in America. He's not even born in the West. He's an immigrant, right? Who probably has an American passport right now. And I'm trying to tell him, he's like trying to say that you can't live life, you can't enjoy life if you don't do that kind of haram stuff. And I'm like, I was born in the West. And alhamdulillah, I have a very good life, I think. I'm very happy. Right? And I can say that, I'm not inshallah, I'm not a failure. So what are you talking about? It's perspective. It's perspective. So what is this going to give us? What is this going to give us? The only thing, what kind of beauty of Islam does this show? Is that the beauty of Islam, that it allows people to jump around? Is that the beauty of Islam that we're trying to show people? Is there nothing else that is in Islam that shows beauty? Come on, we have a rich, extremely rich history, culture, in every aspect. And we have many things that we can show. So, is this not the other extreme of terrorism? Is this just not the other extreme of terrorism? That you got some people going on the extreme to kill people for the sake of Islam, and you got another people who are going on the total opposite side to try to display another idea of Islam? Is that just not a counter to extremism? I mean, I'm sure that's why it was done. But doesn't it make you just an extreme on the other side? The proof of it is that there has been so much condemnation for this online and by many, many people. They're in surprise at what's happening and how people are reacting to this. Now, all you need is another dastardly act. You just need another extreme act somewhere and this will all be washed out. What we really need to do is we need to be providing positive, long-lasting, effective da'wah that is going to help, that's going to keep in their mind. So these weird acts that happen, extremists, blowing up something, doing something else, killing somebody or the other, that's going to have a less impact. I mean, one of those acts, and you think somebody dancing up and down is going to make a difference to it? Seriously, this is just to make us to think. This is just to make us to think. Think about this. How can this be halal? Dancing is not, it's frowned upon according to majority of madhahib. According to the majority of madhahib. That's even for men dancing. I mean, women dancing is a totally different issue. I don't want to make this issue about the women in there that are dancing. I'm just talking about the thing in general. What we've got here essentially is we're setting the scene here for more extreme acts. What we're setting the scene here, we got all the ingredients. We've got the men and women who are dancing. We've got the music. And both of these things are definitely not unanimously agreed upon to be halal. In fact, it's the other side. It's the other side. You've got all of that. All you need now, what's to stop the next sister out there, the next brother out there to become a full-fledged musician? In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if this particular single became top of #1. On the top of the pops or whatever it is these days. I wouldn't be surprised about that. Because there's a lot of support for this to really give it a positive spin. In fact, the thing I see about this is that there are already major arguments online about this, for and against. What's this going to do? What's going to happen to it? What is it going to achieve? You think you're going to be able to show, you think you're going to be able to show a positive aspect of Islam out there when you're just uniting the Muslim community by this? Is this just another way of liyamiz Allahu al-khabitha min al-tayyib? That the good and bad are just being distinguished in this regard? That may be a very harsh statement to make. But at the end of the day, what are you trying to achieve? What is being achieved here? By an act that is breaking the Muslim community, that is making it both sides. SubhanAllah, you've got responses by those people who are supporting the video of, happy Muslims. You've got those people who are supporters saying that those who don't support and who are speaking out against it, they're unhappy people. How can you say that? How can you say that? But this is exactly what's happening, that you're either against us or you're for us. You're with us or you're against us. Have we got nothing more to offer than an act of shamelessness? This would be categorized as absolute shamelessness. Non-haya, the opposite of haya, immodesty. By many, many ulama and the salaf. I would guarantee you that this would be the case. You'd be hard pressed to find many ulama that would be saying that this is a completely fine act. Yes, it's controversial. The Muslims really need to be wiser. We need to really wisen up. We can't play into the stereotypes. Just because they say we're not happy, so we do some kind of weird act of happiness. There are other things that we need to do. We need to do acts of greatness, compassion, welfare work, community work. There's many things you can do. Local charity, feeding the homeless, helping out people to become more independent, the Muslim community, so that they don't strangle the system. They don't milk the system of these haram benefits and so on. They become good, contributing citizens. This is something that we really need to think about. There's other ways that we can impact our society and be remembered rather than just having to prance around. SubhanAllah, this just really needs to be understood. At the end of the day, true happiness is the sa'adah of the hereafter. And I don't think we can gain this by doing things that are either haram or definitely borderline, right? Or that are definitely looked at by the majority of the Muslim community as highly problematic. So this is something that I just wanted to share with you, and I just hope that people, lots of people out there who have a lot of ikhlas and sincerity, that they would just do things with more thought and not in this immature way and just play into stereotypes. What's next? This is just a trending thing that's happening right now. This is the trend of it. What's next? What tomorrow? Subhanallah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the tawfiq wa akhiru da'wana anil hamdulillah.